Bonsoir, good evening. Welcome to our monthly council meeting for July the 8th, 2024. I have with me Councillor Lior Sabag, Councillor Andy Schuster, Councillor Oren, Lior Azarad, Andy Schuster, Oren Sabag. See, I saw Sabag there. Lior Azarad, Andy Schuster, Oren Sabag, Mitch Kajowski, Dita Burku, Stephen Erdely, Sidney Benisri, and Mike Cohen. We also have with us our City Manager, Jonathan Schechter. We have Daryl Levine from Communications and Pascal Tanguay from our Director of Legal Services. So, bienvenue tout le monde. Avant de commencer, we'll have an adoption of the agenda by Councillor Cohen.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I so move that the agenda be approved for tonight's meeting.
Seconded by Councillor Schuster. All in favor? The agenda is adopted. And now I would ask that we have the land acknowledgement and the rules, and then we'll go to for question period, and then we'll go to question period.
Justice, devoir du souvenir, liberté culturelle et inclusion sont des valeurs chères à la ville de Côte Saint-Luc. Nombre de nos résidents et leurs descendants ont construit leur vie ici, après avoir fui des situations difficiles ailleurs. Le Canada a été leur refuge. Mais pour les peuples et les communautés autochtones, les politiques gouvernementales au Canada ont créé des injustices. The island of Montreal, where we are meeting today, has a much older name, Chokshage. It was a historic gathering place for many Indigenous communities. It was also the site of diplomacy, including the Great Peace of Montreal. Nous remercions la nation Gagnou-Geaga, également connue sous le nom de la nation Mohawk, pour son hospitalité sur un territoire non cédé. We must acknowledge the past, so that we can move forward in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
La ville de Côte Saint-Luc permet aux résidents et aux non-résidents de poser des questions en français et en anglais lors des séances du conseil. Toute personne souhaitant poser une question doit, au début de la séance du conseil, remplir le formulaire à cet effet qui se trouve à l'entrée de la salle du conseil. The question period at a council meeting is limited to 30 minutes, but may be extended, subject to the consent of the majority of members of council present. Given this time limit, and given the desire to allow as many questioners as possible to ask questions, every person has 3 minutes to ask one question and one follow-up question to the mayor. Avant de poser une question, chaque personne doit indiquer son nom complet. Après la discussion des points à l'ordre du jour, il y a une deuxième période de questions. Au cours de cette deuxième période de questions, les participants peuvent uniquement poser des questions sur des points à l'ordre du jour. Finally, no person may use violent, offensive, or disrespectful language when addressing a question to the mayor.
Thank you. So we'll go to question period shortly. We have a few questions that came in writing, and at least one that are here so far that I've received in person. I'd just like to make a few remarks before we go into the question period. The first is I would like to send my condolences on the passing of Saul Bruck. Saul Bruck was a resident of Côte Saint-Luc, was a Holocaust survivor, also a good friend of my father-in-law, Eddie Yagodinsky. He passed away at the age of 103, thank goodness. Had a long life. And we had an interview with him on his 100th birthday. He was still driving to work or going to work at the time. He was driving to work close up until 100. I think it was late into his 90s and going to work still. But that was during COVID. And during COVID, he was living at home with his granddaughter, Natalie. And I couldn't really go over to the house to videotape, so we did it on Zoom. And it's a nice interview with a very positive outlook on life from Saul Bruck. We send our condolences to Saul. One of his favorite expressions was in his survival throughout the Holocaust, he always said, a gram of luck in all of you, and he always said that he survived the Holocaust based on a gram of luck, which is worth more than a ton of diamonds. And really that is his message, that a gram of luck is worth more than a ton of diamonds. And that's how he feels that he was lucky enough to survive the Holocaust and then live to the ripe old age of 103. I'd also like to make a very important statement, I feel, on the situation that's happening still at McGill. As we know, the encampment was started in April, shortly after the events of, a few months after the events of October 7th. But in April, they started an encampment. and it's been asked to be taken down many times. And the mayor of Montreal recently asked the police of Montreal to take down the encampment at Victoria Square, and it was done quickly, based on her direction and in coordination with the police. Now, this McGill campus is within the jurisdiction of Valerie Plante, mayor of Montreal. The police force answers to her. McGill is asking for the encampment to go down. We know that it's not a peaceful encampment. I'll just cite two events that we know of in June, when agitators took over the university building and vandalized university property in the process. And just this past weekend, on July the 5th at around 9:30 p.m., they targeted several McGill University buildings and vandalized and broke buildings and spray painted slogans and profanities and assaulted a McGill security agent. So this is definitely not a peaceful encampment. It's very clear. There's many other issues I could mention, but those two were clearly highlighted in the news, and we know what's going on. So I call upon the mayor of Montreal to immediately direct the police force to arrest those that are violating the law and break up this illegal encampment, which is ground zero for radicalism, anti-Semitism, violence, and intimidation. And she should do it now. I know that if such an encampment existed in the city of Côte Saint-Luc, I would be directing Station 9 to act, and act quickly. And if it was able to be done for Victoria Square so quickly, when it was an area under her jurisdiction, it can be done based on President Saini's request, as he states clearly that none of this is peaceful protesting. It is designed to threaten, coerce, and scare people. It is completely unacceptable. And that is McGill's statement. They want it taken down. So I asked the police to act, and I asked Mayor Plante to direct the police to act promptly. Enough is enough. We also have two other interesting upcoming event that's coming up on Wednesday. That is our master plan open house. At the master plan open house, individuals are welcome to come and hear about our future plans and give their input and ask questions from our professionals who have been working on the master plan for some time. It's on our website, and it's explained already in terms of the ideas, in terms of redevelopment, both for commerce and housing, particularly the three mall, the Cavendish Mall, Carey Square, and Côte Saint-Luc Shopping Centre developments, which are very interesting potential redevelopment areas that would increase the population of Côte Saint-Luc significantly and service our needs, and hopefully create more of a commerce that we could all also enjoy, commerce and some nightlife. So for details on that, we encourage you to come to the open house. It's very informal. You'll be able to go straight up to staff and speak to them one-on-one and ask your questions based on the various staff members that are leading the master plan. Indeed, Councillor Burku is also the councillor responsible for master plan, so she may want to speak on that, but she definitely does have an update on the Cavendish extension.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So further to the introduction with regard to the master plan, you have the flyers at the back of the room. And for those who want more information, it's online, and it's also, there are posters and signage up all throughout the city. So it's Wednesday, July 10th at 7 p.m. in the council chamber right here. And we're inviting the public to basically understand the process that we're now going to embark upon, because since 2022, we did informal pre-consultations, and now we're going to start launching a more formal consultation process. And we're going to be looking at the next steps with regard to the three major malls that need to be redeveloped, and also other issues like home-based businesses and other zoning changes that we're going to make throughout the city. Now, with regard to Cavendish Extension, so quick update since our last meeting. We announced at the last meeting that we had the support of the Cavendish Business Alliance, and that was very important. Since the announcement of the Namur Hippodrome Plan, which was approximately the middle of April 19th to be exact, A political caucus was also created of elected officials of local MNAs and members of parliament who are now united to press for the Cavendish link. And they basically want to remind both the federal and provincial ministers that are responsible for housing that the public financing for housing should be accompanied by financing for a proper mobility plan that includes Cavendish. As we know, Montreal has reneged on the 2017 deal, which clearly states that Cavendish has to be built as a condition to housing on the Hippodrome, and that condition has to be fulfilled. And we are reminding the ministers that they should be pressing on the City of Montreal to do that. At the same time, City of Montreal has presented us with new options. So we're on one track with the politicians and the elected officials, and the City of Montreal now has presented the city on the technical level with new options to relieve traffic congestion around the Hippodrome, which quite frankly, I can tell you, I feel are totally improvised. And without revealing all the details, so far we feel that these proposals are not appropriate and certainly don't compare with the Cavendish extension, which is the most appropriate thing to do for the relief of congestion, both on the Carry Corridor, the Namur Hippodrome area, and to connect the north-south access from Saint-Laurent to Côte Saint-Luc all the way to Lachine and LaSalle. This is what is needed in the west end of the city. So the next step is we're going to launch a petition to the National Assembly, which will be sponsored by our MNA Elizabeth Prass. And the request will be to ask the government to, and probably the provincial government, because it's going to the National Assembly, but by ricochet, it's also going to be asking the federal government, because we know that all federal financing flows through Quebec in the case of accelerator housing programs. So the request will be to ask the governments to finance housing with the transit plan, like in conjunction with the transit plan that respects the 2017 agreement and includes Cavendish. And I would also point out that the mayors of TMR, Saint-Laurent, and Côte Saint-Luc and myself met with Minister Fitzgibbon, who's the minister responsible for the Metropole, and Minister Dansereau, who's the minister responsible for housing. The two of them were present with us, and they were very receptive to our message. In fact, Minister Fitzgibbon posted on his Twitter account soon after the meeting that creating responsible housing and efficient housing, we must develop sustainable transport for the entire sector. And we feel that that signals to us and to the City of Montreal that they are going to respond, and we hope they're going to respond to our message that the housing should be financed by the federal and provincial government. That's fine. We know we're in a housing crisis, and the City of Montreal needs the support. But until such time as that housing development doesn't have a coherent transit plan that includes Cavendish, we feel that the ministers responsible should set those conditions straight. So those are the demands, and the petition will be launched. And when it is launched, of course, we will ask thousands of residents to sign the petition. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Councillor Burku for leading on this file and working with our fellow mayors, informing not only the Business Alliance, which are clearly saying they need it, they want it, they can't succeed in their developments without it, and getting the federal government, MPs, provincial government, MNAs to work with us, also saying that the deal from 2017 cannot be broken, and it has to be enforced by the province and through our MNAs and other MNAs and MPs. They're working together at the federal and provincial level. So I think it's great that we have all three levels of government working on the plan as well as the business community, and we're going to get the residents signing that petition so everybody will be involved, and hopefully we'll see some positive news. So thank you, Councillor Burku, for all your work. And now we will go to question period. So I think we'll start with the people that are here. Jeremy Biskin.
Hi, good evening. I was here last month. I don't know if anyone remembers, but
We remember.
Okay.
Thank you for coming again.
no problem. This is a partial update. Anyways, originally I went here to the city informing them what to do about our landlord not responding to request. Eventually I decided to just report it to urban planning and security as per the bylaw permits in the sanitation. It mentions urban planning, security, and Montreal Police. So I reported it to urban planning and security. I got only one answer that acknowledged of the receipt of the email, and that was it. Eventually, my mother just decided to go on Facebook, look up the owner, and just tell him what was happening about the sanitary issue. And that's what got the issue resolved. It wasn't Côte Saint-Luc or anyone outside. It was my mother messaging the owner. So my main question is, does Côte Saint-Luc have the resources to enforce the sanitation laws for the urban planning department?
But we do have, under certain conditions, inspectors that would go in. So it depends on the condition. And if there is an issue that urban planning deems an inspector should be sent, they are sent.
So, because I emailed a pretty detailed report referencing the specific bylaw, and it was more, it didn't result in anything. Because originally when I came here, I was told with the tenant-landlord relationship that the city doesn't interfere. In this instance and in all the other instances regarding sanitations, I believe it's a landlord-city relationship. There are many sanitary issues in general, so my main concern isn't even the building I live in, is the rest of the city. For people who have more serious sanitary issues, what does the city do in terms of those?
But like I said, the rental board has the ultimate jurisdiction over landlord-tenant disputes of all types, including sanitary. But if there is a sanitary issue that the city deems is within its jurisdiction, they can send an inspector. But I'm going to not be able to comment on the details of your particular request. I could find a follow-up on why your particular email was not followed up with an inspection. So that I'll have put in the minutes to have some follow-up on that. See why his particular email did not, or his mother, was your email or your mom?
It was my email, my mother.
Okay, so Jeremy Biskin's email concerning the sanitary issues in his mother's apartment was not followed up with an inspector to get a response.
And maybe a separate issue, the email I sent to council last month, was there any feedback in regards to the content of the email about the apartments in Côte Saint-Luc?
Be more specific. I know, I read a lot of emails and I do acknowledge receiving yours,
don't
but
even remember
with
what I
respect to
sent.
any particular,
It was a big chunky email that was like a few pages and had a map of the entire town of all the apartments. Yeah, was that one?
it was referred to staff.
Yeah,
But
I never.
it wasn't a political, question.
Yeah, I know you forwarded it to a few people, but I never got an answer either for that. So
So we'll have,
I'm not really sure.
Maitre Schechter will look into that because he was copied on that email. On the email from Mr. Biskin, I copied a lot of people. Pretty sure you were copied as well.
Could I add something, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
regarding the Jeremy's question?
I want to thank Councillor Cohen, but also I have to point out, don't say there wasn't any response from the politicians when your own city councillor met with you and went over the entire email and has followed up. So thank you, Councillor Cohen. Councillor Italy.
Thank you, and it's good to see Mr. Biscuit again.
So,
So I'll just add 2 points. One, I want to say it was an interesting map. I'm not sure if that was produced by you or the city, the color-coded map.
He
With
did
the,
it. He did it.
Oh, okay, I was going to say the color-coded map showing the density of apartment buildings. I mean, I've seen maps before, but not one like that, so I was impressed. The other thing I was going to share, we have, it's not a secret, but it's not public knowledge per se. One of our inspectors left the city, so we are looking for another inspector. So I think we have normally 2 inspectors. We're down to 1. So I think that's possibly hurt the city in terms of being able to do as much inspection as normal, but hopefully that person will be replaced very soon and we'll be back to our regular number of inspections. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you.
that's it. Thanks.
Okay. Do we have any other people here that ask a question? Not? Otherwise, we'll do the ones that were sent in writing. So we'll start with the first one. I think we have several.
Yes,
You could read Mark Needleman's.
Marilyn Perrin, the one from Marilyn Perrin.
Mark Needleman, 5720 Rembrandt.
Mark Needleman. Yes, it's a long text.
You want to read it? What? What am I doing? What, you want me to read it? You want me to read the whole thing? Okay, I'll read it. It's the whole. Oh, that was the one that was not a question. Oh, and it's still here. Okay, Mark Needleman did not provide a question, so I see that. Okay. I just want to point out for anybody writing questions or asking questions at public question period, you have to ask a question. If there's no question, there's nothing to answer. So I'm happy to receive statements or emails from anybody on any topic, but if you are going to ask a question, please ask a question that we can answer with a question mark or at least words that indicate there's a question there. Marilyn Perrin.
Yes, so she lives in a condos building and a neighbor has an ant and spider infestation. And she is wondering if there is anything in place in Côte Saint-Luc to protect the owners.
Okay, so in a situation where there is infestation of any sort, the first thing to do, and if it's condos, is to ask your condo board to have it inspected, the unit inspected, and then to send an exterminator if needed. If the individual who owns the condo refuses entry, then we can, on request from the board, send an inspector and insist on the individual allowing us to inspect. But these are the steps that have to be taken. You have to ask your condo board to inspect and exterminate if needed. And if they need our assistance, then ask for the city to demand free entry from the condo owner if he or she refuses. So that would be the procedure to take. But we will be happy to assist in conjunction with your condo association. The next question, please.
Yes, from Toby Schulman. He has 4 questions, and the first one goes like this. There are so many emergencies every day. What types are they? Are seniors involved in most of them?
Okay, so we'll do one at a time. So the first one, I believe you're referring to emergency medical services. And in this case, 60% of the calls received are from individuals 65 years of age and older. So that means, yes, a majority, 60%, are for seniors. I hope that answers the question.
The second one, the roads of Côte Saint-Luc are very bad. I use adapted transport almost every day, and I am being bumped up and down in the cabs. What is Côte Saint-Luc plan for road improvement?
Well, we have spent $6 million over the last 2 years, and we have budgeted $3.7 million for 2024. We also have a road reserve of $1 million that is used as needed for additional repairs. And we are resurfacing the roads in an organized fashion. We recently also hired an outside consulting firm to do a study of all of our streets, and they're working on giving us a report we're supposed to get presented to council at the next in-committee meeting in order to prepare a resurfacing schedule for the entire city.
Next question. Can we use photo radar to stop these noisy cars up and down Cavendish every evening?
Photo radar would be under the jurisdiction of the police. But what is better than photo radar is police presence and real radar. Photo radar provides the ability to issue tickets based on individuals that pass the speed limit, but you get no demerit points. With police presence and real radar, you get tickets and demerit points. So what we can do, and we do all the time, but since you've had this request, we'll remind Station 9 to present try to have a more police presence for radar and ticketing individuals speeding on Cavendish.
Is it required by law that every interaction with the city and its departments must start with French and then English?
No, we have bilingual status in Côte Saint-Luc, so that doesn't apply to us, and we're more than happy to speak to people in English or French, French or English, or any other language that our staff are available to communicate in. I think that's it. Okay. So we'll move on to the next thing on the agenda, which is approval of the minutes. Councillor Cohen.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I so move that the minutes from the June 17th, 2024 meeting be approved.
Moved by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Next, minutes.
I so move the minutes from the regular meeting of June 17th, 2024, be the one at 8 p.m., be approved.
Moved by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion? All in favor? So moved. Any business arising from either minutes? So then, we have no government correspondence this month, so we'll move to departmental reports. Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The monthly report submitted for June 2024 be and are hereby approved as drafted.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Sabag. Any discussion? Who wants to go first? Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a brief summary from Recreation that Day Camp is currently in week 3 with 200 campers, and their camp counselors and park leaders adventuring around the ACC as well as in some of our parks. We get good compliments on our day camp, and I have personal testimonials from my daughter as well. Canada Day celebrations were a hit. We started off the day on July 1st with the citizenship ceremony that was hosted by Dan Laxer and conducted by Judge Barbara Seal and her team, with our MP Anthony Housefather, MNA Elizabeth Prass, Mayor Mitch Brownstein, and members of council who were all present or who were present to welcome 36 new Canadians from 40 different countries, and it was a really meaningful part of Canada Day. Canada Day festivities continued at Trudeau Park with a DJ, a live band, inflatables, food vendors, and a laser show, and much more. We had roughly 8,000 participants of all ages and raised approximately $4,000 for the Recreation Bursary Fund through the sale of amusement tickets and bracelets. And these funds go to benefit our residents on a fixed income who could not otherwise have access to city programming. Upcoming recreation events include the Ukulele Society concert on July 10th at Rembrandt Park Chalet. We have Lifeguard Day, July 28th at Parkhaven Outdoor Pool. Our Summer in the City programming continues, which is a collaboration of recreation and library. And just a note, not to ever step on Councillor Cohen's shoes, but I just want to mention that Sandy Kogut, for those of you who've done music with Sandy, I did it as a child, and then my daughter participated. Sandy, who's since moved to Calgary, will be back doing a concert this Sunday at, I believe, 3:30 in Ashkelon Gardens.
Yes, excited about that. I'll
yeah.
be there. My kids did it, and now Jonah's going. Anything else?
That's it.
Councillor Cohen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And first of all, I want to congratulate Councillor Schuster and Mayor Brownstein on chairing one of the best Canada Days I've seen in many years. It was really fantastic. Of course, Mother Nature helped out a lot with great weather, but it was just a great vibe, And really, congratulations to Recreation on coming up with the idea for selling the bracelets and really bumping up our bursary fund. We have the golf class, we're calling it the Invitational, the golf tournament on the August the 6th at Meadowbrook. Hopefully the weather will be nice. And we are raising money again for the bursary fund through that event. We've got two sponsors, Zerzer and Samuel Zerzer and, Mark Zerzer and Haggy Brenner and Philip Maman. So they are our sponsors. We have registration is doing extremely well. McDonald's will be there in the morning as well. So we still have some spots open if you want to golf, but they're going very fast. So we're very excited about that. We'll be having our banquet on September the 30th in conjunction with Maison Fleury at the ACC for all the participants. So it's going to be a grand affair. And speaking of Maison Fleury, your members of council are the judges this year, and we are judging not our own districts. Just a reminder to councillors, you're supposed to finish your judging by next week. So I know Councillor Azarad, who is dealing with the effects of just getting off a plane from another time zone. Tomorrow morning, we'll get up and start driving around and judging the flowers. We're also, looking forward to celebrating the beauty of Côte Saint-Luc. I gave you an update at our last meeting about the Cats Committee. They came to our meeting 2 meetings ago to talk about how we had only a budget of $5,000. We were cut by the city by $5,000 because everybody had to take a cut due to our budgetary situation. We're hoping that'll return next year to their normal number, but we've really worked hard behind the scenes in fundraising. And as of today, we've raised an additional $13,000. And some have come from, a couple of people gave sizable donations, and there's been some other smaller ones, but it's really wonderful. So that is going to sustain us for the rest of the year. We know that we can't count on some of these people to do this every year, but we're very pleased. So congratulations to Diane Liebling and everybody. And, the media coverage that we got garnered a lot of support. So that's very important. We also have R. Hagen. I was at the press conference for Strangers in the Night, and I met Rolf Hagen, who owns a pet food store, and spoke to him, and he's going to be donating pet food that we can use for our outdoor feeders. These are people who feed homeless outdoor cats, and he's going to give us some pet food. So Diane is now working on that. So that's my update for this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Cohen. Who's next? Come on in. Councillor Kujawski.
Hello.
Okay, sorry. Councillor Early, you're next, because your hand was up before yours. Sorry.
Okay.
Councillor Early, and then you'll do it.
All right. Hopefully there's no feedback. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Actually, I'll just as a follow-up to Councillor Cohen, not to correct him, but just maybe to clarify. Councillor Cohen is correct that we did cut the budget for the Cats Committee. However, we had increased it the previous year. So we actually, if I recall correctly, and I think it was Councillor Kajawski who did the summary table on this, which I was trying to pull up as we were talking. So we did cut, but we actually went back to the baseline we had.
But a cut is a cut, Councillor.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that, but I will say we cut back to our normal, our baseline. We had increased it. We cut it back to the normal amount.
We'll beg to differ whether that's normal, but
anyway, sorry. Normal is subject to we'll call it the baseline. But anyway, I'll keep going. So to share on the finance side, so positive, good news. And I last month shared a little bit on this, but To remind everyone, transfer duties are the what we also call the welcome tax. So this is a roughly 1-2% tax for new homes that are purchased. As I had mentioned before, last year we had originally budgeted $4 million, which was the baseline. So our normal amount, if I can say that, was between $4 and $8 million on welcome tax in the previous few years. Last year, we'd originally budgeted $4 million. We ended up in the vicinity of about $2.5 million. So 2.5, 2.6, so we're about $1.5 million short. This year, based on that, we reduced the budget to $2.6 million. But I can share as of end of May, we're at $3.2 million. So as of end of May, so not even halfway through the year, we've hit our budget and surpassed it by about $600,000. And that doesn't even include the sales from June and July and possibly an apartment building complex that might be sold at some point, which isn't even in there. So all that to say, hopefully, it'll generate revenues for the city, and we could possibly look at maybe increasing the CATS committee budget, but that's a discussion for another day. Sorry, I couldn't help that one. I'll share on a separate note, the city received, processed 53 claims for water filter rebates. So reminder to all residents in person and watching online, if you have a home that was built when lead pipes may have been used for the service line, we recommend you get a lead filter. There are rebates available, more information on the city website. And again, the goal is to keep everyone safe. I have my lead filters in my own house and update them regularly. In terms of VCOPs, I don't have the latest stats, but I want to recognize some of our VCOP volunteers who are here. Susie and Harvey, thank them for their service. It was great to see on Canada. I know Councillor Schuster mentioned Canada Day, but I will add that it was nice to see so many VCOP volunteers that day, really there to be an extra set of eyes and ears, help out residents. And I'll thank also our public security officers who were there in full force on Canada Day to make sure everyone was safe. In terms of summer fun, I know Councillor Schuster mentioned, but I'll add one more there. A reminder to residents in District 4 that Fletcher Park has a summer fun event every day, or every weekday, I should say, from 3 to 7 for children 5 to 17. And this is an opportunity for your children or young adults who aren't able to go to camp. So there's activities that are done by an animator and a lot of fun. And on the environmental front, I don't have the latest stats, but I will share that a flyer is going out to all homes that residents should be getting today, tomorrow, the next few days, with some tips on what goes in your blue bin, your brown bin, the black bin. So I encourage all residents, read the flyer. It refers, of course, to the website as well, where there's more information. But we encourage you to try to reduce the amount of waste going to landfill, to compost, recycle as much as possible, and continue to help keep Côte Saint-Luc green. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Jaski. Maybe yours is so high, it's weird. Eh?
It's okay. All right, I'm good. Hello. Okay, so just quickly, I channeled my inner Mike Cohen the other day, and I didn't do a walkabout. I did a little drive about. I wanted to see how the road reconstruction projects were going and the sidewalks and all that. So everything is moving along really nicely. I'm actually witnessing a couple of new roads being reconstructed right adjacent to my street, and we're getting excellent feedback also from the contractor, who is apparently very communicative, very polite, and the work is moving along very quickly. Line painting is supposed to begin in the next several days, or early July is what our contractor said. And the project, depending on the weather, of course, will take a couple of weeks, and we'll ensure that we draw straight lines, unlike our neighbors in Hampstead who are having fun. Kerwin Park is ready. The chalet is open. We don't currently have programming in the chalet yet. That is obviously a work in progress because the project is now just completed. But the park is free to use. Please go use it. I'm there regularly. I'm at Park Haven Pool regularly with the little one. And Canada Day, I've got to just comment, it was fantastic. Like it was the best Canada Day that I've had in Côte Saint-Luc in some time. There must have been at least 8,000 or 9,000 people in the park. It was like an excellent use of Trudeau Park. So congratulations to Recreation and for all the staff who helped organize and clean up, including our day camp staff, lifeguards, everyone chipped in. I guess that's it for me for now. Thank you.
It was terrific. Anyone else? Councilor Ben-Isri?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to share an information concerning the next big drop-off. So save the date for August 18, 2024 from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So it's going to be the collection day at the Public Works Yard. So I just wanted to share this upcoming event. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No. Great. Anyway, thank you very much. Yeah, Canada Day was a real pleasure. It was great to see all the happy faces of people throughout the park, using the entire park. I never saw Trudeau Park so well used. It was great. So moved and seconded, all in favor of the departmental reports? Carried unanimously, and we'll move on to finance. Councillor Erdely, 7A.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the attached list of disbursements for the period of June 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2024 for a total amount of $980,016.32 in Canadian funds, and the Treasurer Certificate number 24-0077, dated July 2nd, 2024, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Cohen. Any discussion?
Yeah, so I'll give some highlights. So obviously this is one of our larger disbursements. Normally we're in the vicinity of about 4 or 5 million. The largest amount is the check for Montreal, for the agglomeration, which is about $18.5 million. And then there's a few other mid-level items, including some funds for water meters, for a new ambulance, some work on paving, some of the funds for paving roads, water management, our regular waste removal, and a capital bond repayment.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And move to the next item, B. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby renews the contract with Salesforce.com Canada Corporation for a case management system and CRM software for an amount of $48,512.16, plus applicable taxes for the period of July 15, 2024 to July 14, 2025, and that Treasurer Certificate number TC 24-0080, dated July 2nd, 2024, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion?
So just to give some background, so this is for Salesforce, which is our case management system, and this is how we use the software we use to keep track of, let's say, complaints to the city in regards to streetlight issues, finance issues, and so on. It's relatively new. We just started using this a few years ago, and I feel like we're actually still just getting more and more at ease or better at using it. One of the things we have done, I should mention, is we've reduced the number of licenses. Originally, we had 17. We reduced it to 14 based on the number of users and also in order to generate some savings on the budget. But it's one, hopefully, that will benefit the city for many years to come. Thank you.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we'll move to item 8, General Management. Councillor Burku.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved, just a
Settling your
moment.
claim.
Yes. Whereas the city has a maintenance contract with Simcoe Refrigeration for the maintenance of the refrigeration system at the Samuel Moscovich Arena, whereas an issue occurred with the city's ice compressor, whereas the city needed to incur certain costs, whereas the city and Simcoe wish to resolve these costs amicably, be it resolved that the preamble of this resolution shall form an integral part therein, as if cited herein after at length, that the City of Côte Saint-Luc Council hereby approves the settlement with Simcoe for the amount of $7,500, which the city shall receive in compensation for any costs incurred, and that the city manager or the city's general counsel or any employees under their care and control, be and hereby authorized to sign any documents to give effect to the foregoing.
Moved by Councilor Burku, seconded by Councilor Italy. Any discussion?
We had an issue with one of our compressors, and we're settling the case for $7,500.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously, I think. Yeah. Okay, with all those in the room. Thank you. Now we move to item number 9, Human Resources. Councilor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the hiring of the white-collar auxiliary employees whose names are listed on the document titled Auxiliary Employees White Collars Hiring, dated June 28, 2024, and that said employees' terms of employment will be as per the conditions of the collective agreement. That Treasurer's Certificate Number 24-0078, dated June 28, 2024, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councilor Schuster, seconded by Councilor Benizri. Any discussion?
Just a brief explanation that it's a continued list of lifeguards and day camp staff.
All in favor? Okay. Councilor Sabag's in favor. Okay, he did. Okay, no problem. I knew everyone would be in favor of those. Next is Legal Services. Councilor Brickman. It's our bylaw to regulate parking and public safety.
Okay.
Notice
so,
of motion
yes,
to table it.
Thank you. So I hereby give notice of motion that the draft bylaw number 2629 to be entitled Bylaw to Regulate Parking and Public Safety will be presented at a later meeting for adoption. And the scope and object of this bylaw is entitled Bylaw to Regulate Parking and Public Safety. Furthermore, I hereby deposit or table the draft bylaw 2629 to be entitled Bylaw to Regulate Parking and Public Safety.
Perfect. Which will be voted on at the subsequent meeting. Now, Parks and Recreation, Councilor Schuster. The fee schedule.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that bylaw entitled Bylaw 2627, creating the fee schedule for cultural, sports, and leisure activities for fall of 2024 and winter of 2025 be and is hereby adopted and numbered 2627.
Moved by Councilor Schuster, seconded by Councilor Benizri. Any discussion?
It's pretty self-explanatory. It's the fee schedule for our recreation programming.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move to Public Works. Councilor Benizri. Warning of a contract
Thank you.
for repair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Est résolu que le conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc octroie par la présente un contrat à Saint-Pi Hydraulique pour la réparation du pont élévateur du garage des travaux publics pour un montant de 46 662 $ et 50 sous, plus les taxes applicables. Que les dépenses décrites seront financées intégralement à partir du budget opérationnel de la ville. Que le certificat du trésorier numéro 24-0079 a été émis le 28 juin 2024 par le trésorier de la ville attestant de la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses décrites.
Okay. So, proposé par le conseiller Benizri, appuyé par le conseiller Sebag. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions? Vote en faveur. Okay. Carried unanimously, and we move to Urban Development. 13A, Councilor Kachowski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Put a picture up of this. Protected crosswalk on Kildare between Glen Arden and Fairside Avenue. Take a look at what it looks like. It's the first of its type. So let's.
We're not there yet, right? We're on 13.
13A.
Yeah, so that's for Ventec.
No,
Crosswalk.
Ventec, we're not.
No, you're on an old agenda.
You're on
Mitch.
an old agenda.
Oh, bad.
The latest agenda goes to only 2 items on 13. It's the A is the crosswalk, and then B is renovation of Trudeau Park baseball field backstop.
page 395.
So that's it. That's all we have for 13, urban development.
Here we go. Got it. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a contract to Lorrain Inc. for the construction of a protected crosswalk on Kildare for the amount of $36,200 plus applicable taxes. That furthermore, the city may consider an extra 10% for any potential contingencies and extras if required. That shall first be approved according to the city's procedures. That the described expenses shall be financed in whole from the city's traffic calming budget. That Treasurer's Certificate number 24-0076 dated June 28, 2024 has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Kajavsky, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
I'm going to steal Councillor Burku's thunder and say, yes, we need many more of these. We need them to be all the same so that we have a standard look to these crosswalks across the city so people recognize them for what they are, which are places to stop when you see a pedestrian and when you see the flashing lights. So call this our pilot project, our first of hopefully many of these, and a beginning of the change of culture in our city where the pedestrian will be eventually king and not the vehicle. One day.
Excellent. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move to B, which is the contract for the baseball field backstop. Reno.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is me, right? Yeah. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a contract to Construction Catalonia, Inc. for the renovation of Pierre Elliott Trudeau Park baseball field backstop for the amount of $116,250 plus applicable taxes. That the described expenses shall be financed from the loan bylaws 2624 and 2587. That Treasurer's Certificate number 24-0075, dated June 27, 2024, has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Kajavsky, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
This is self-explanatory. Placement of the backstop on T3 near the mountain.
All in favor? For baseball, we did it. Unanimous. Next we go to 14.1. 5761 McMurray. Councillor Kajavsky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing facade modifications to the existing detached single-family dwelling on lot 1052769 and prepared for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of June 4th, 2024, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councillor Kajavsky, seconded by Councillor Sibag. Any discussion?
This is basically to legalize a changing of the what's it called, the facade, I'm losing my word, siding. Thank you, Stephen. Siding on a home on McMurray.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move to Nice 6609 Nice.
Nice.
Nice. Oh yeah.
We debated that.
Nice. Would be nicer as Nice, but anyway, it's nice. Okay. Nice. Councillor Kajavsky.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice.
Mm-hmm.
It resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing a rear extension to the existing detached single-family dwelling on lot 1561149 and prepared by Mirette Kamel Architect for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of June 4th, 2024, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councillor Kajavsky, seconded by Councillor Burke. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Any discussion?
Yeah, this needs to be said. It's a
very
nice,
nice.
it's a nice extension.
Very nice. All in favor? Carried unanimously.
I'm sure that hasn't been done before. Okay.
6807 Cordia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing facade modifications to the existing detached single-family dwelling on lot 1561347 and prepared by Alt and Agape Architects for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of June 4th, 2024, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councillor Kajavsky, seconded by Councillor Benizri. Any discussion?
Can't really see it up there. It's just changing of the materials on a home in Corzac. Very similar color, just a bigger stone as opposed to the existing brick that needs to be changed.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously. We move to minor exemptions, 5527 Westbourne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw G18-0005, the request for a minor exemption regarding the property located at 5527 Westbourne, lot 1561765, be and is hereby approved, the whole as more amply delineated hereunder. The request is to allow the existing detached single-family dwelling built in 1955 under permit number 1954-00023 to maintain its current front setback at a minimum of 4.5 meters instead of the minimum required front setback of 4.57 meters, and to maintain its current west lateral setback at a minimum of 1.90 meters instead of the minimum required lateral setback of 1.98 meters. The whole notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw number 2217 Annex B, Zone RU-7, Article 4-4-1 and 4-4-2.
Moved by Councilor Kajewski, seconded by Councilor Burku. Any discussion?
It's just a legalization of the setbacks of the home.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now 5739 Wildwood.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw G18-0005, the request for a minor exemption regarding the property located at 5739 Wildwood, lot 1053707, be and is hereby approved, the whole as more amply delineated hereunder. The request is to allow the detached single-family dwelling built in 1965 under permit number 1965-02360 to maintain its current front setback at a minimum of 4.0 meters instead of the minimum required front setback of 4.57 meters, and to maintain its current east lateral setback at a minimum of 1.95 meters instead of the minimum required lateral setback of 1.98 meters. To allow the construction of a balcony in the rear yard to be located at a minimum distance of approximately 7 feet from the rear land line instead of the minimum required distance of 10 feet from the rear land line, and with a maximum encroachment of approximately 11.6 feet into the minimum rear setback instead of the maximum permitted encroachment of 10 feet into the minimum rear setback. The whole notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw 2217 Annex B, Zone RU-26, Article 4-2-2, Table 1, Article 441, Article 442, and Article 445A.
Moved by Councilor Kajewski, seconded by Councilor Wildwood, right?
Yes.
Okay, any discussion?
It's like the last to legalize the setbacks of the property and the location of the balcony due to a bay window.
All in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we go to stands at the Aglo, Councilor Sabat.
Mr. Mayor, is this on? Yeah. Be it resolved that the council take the following stance in view of any agglomeration council meetings to be held in August 2024 as follows: to authorize the mayor and his duly authorized replacement to make any decisions he deems necessary and in the best interest of the city of Côte Saint-Luc and its residents regarding the terms on the agenda and the agglomeration council meetings to be held in August 2024 based on the information to be presented during this meeting. And I know the mayor is going to be present, Mayor of Montreal, so we can continue pushing our points to her, as we mentioned at the beginning of this meeting in regards to the encampments.
Thank you, Councilor Sabag. All in favor? Seconded by Councilor Burku, and all in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to other business. Second question, period. Any questions? Move for adjournment, Councilor Cohen.
So
Councilor Sabag, seconded by Councilor Cohen.
I
All
so
in
move,
favor?
Mr. Mayor.
So we are adjourned. Thank you.